Welcome to my BBL Trophy preview. Today's video is a report on Derby Trailblazers Team Solent Kestrels. These two teams will face each other in the first round of the BBL Trophy this weekend. My name is Hughes, I'm from Rebound. Rebound is a British basketball multimedia and blog site. We comment on all things British basketball and share all the stories you need to know about the NBA and also wider stories covering British basketball. Welcome to the video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to press that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you'll be the first to know when we drop a video. We'll be doing videos on the BBL Trophy preview. Welcome to the last of our BBL Trophy previews from the first round ties involving NBL D1 clubs. This game takes place on Sunday at 5 PM. It's going to be streamed live free on YouTube. I'll post a link to the stream in the video description at the bottom. So let's start with recent form for the host Derby Trailblazers. They are atop of NBL D1 with a 7-1 record. They got knocked out of the quarterfinals, the L Lynch Trophy versus Worthing Thunder. In terms of recent form, however, they have a 5-0 record. As an observer NBL D1, I always expected Derby to do well this season. They've not really come across too many top 6 sides on current form. I'm not sure how tested this Derby side has been so far, but you can only play the teams in front of you, and they've done well in all the games I've watched so far. I was really impressed how they fought back away to Loughborough recently. That was a really tough game. I've also liked the margins of their victories, like the 40 points versus Leicester and Nottingham respectively. They're a very dominant side. And that's mirrored in the average team stats. For not wanting to sound like a broken record, I've mentioned many times that I feel out for the BBL Trophy NBL teams. I feel Derby Trailblazers are one of the more complete sides in terms of their overall offensive and defensive rating, and definitely a more balanced side if you were to look at the stats. Sort of top 6 in shooting with a field goal percentage of 47.6, which is left to be 4th. 3-point percentage shooting of 32.5, which is left to be 7th. Free throw percentage 71.8. We'll talk later about that 3-point shooter. I feel Derby definitely coming in more into their game, and I have to see that 3-point percentage going up in the next few weeks. But if you look at sort of the other box draw stats like the rebound, assist, steals and blocks, they're firmly a top 4 side in that respect, with 40.8 rebounds enough to be 3rd, assists with 23.4 enough to be 2nd, steals 8.3 is joint 5th, and blocks they're top of the league with 3.8. It's easy to see the guys who are the key contributors. For example, rebounds and blocks, you look at like Oliver Stanley, Malcolm Smith. With assists, you look at like Charlie Brown, and steals, sort of a whole team contribution there. Obviously, all the players contribute, but they have guys who stand out in those categories. Now let's look at the visited side for this encounter. That's Team Solent Kestrels. These teams have not met this season. Derby Trailblazers, in fact, are the last NBL side to beat Team Solent Kestrels NBL action when they played on the 23rd of February 2019, which is almost 2 years ago now. They come into this game with a 5-0 record in recent form, constantly getting over 100 points per game, so teams that play will really have to be on their defensive A game to limit the damage. If we look at standout games, I think the away tie to Worthing with that 50-point win, definitely one where they were on their A game. They've also played really well. I was quite impressed with the Newcastle game, maybe one of their lowest scoring games, but they kept Newcastle a very good, talented attacking side to 64 points. They also managed to keep a very potent Loughborough side to 67 points, so definitely one of the top defensive sides. And their ability at the defensive end to really limit teams with points is mirrored in the average team stats. You'd see they're one of the league's leaders for steals and rebounds. The leaders for rebounds are 47 rebounds per game and 10.5 steals being enough to be 2nd. 2 blocks per game is an improvement from last year, if I'm not mistaken. Then obviously it goes without saying, but a team that's averaging over 100 points per game is going to be dominating the offensive stats. Obviously, they're 1st in assists per game, and that I think really shows how their team first side passes the ball to try and get the best look. And they do a good job shooting with 49.5 field goal percentage, nutty 3rd in a very talented shooting league, and a 3-point percentage of 34.9, which is not too shabby, and foul them at your own regret, really, because they're one of the top free throw shooting sides in the league with 76.3. And let's quickly look at the other two sides from the NBL that have involved the BBL trophy. We've got TVC Cavaliers, who, as I record this video, are playing their BBL trophy tie tonight at Surrey Storches, who recently just acquired NBL D1 hotshot killer Cameron Hildreth. It'll be a really interesting time, one I'm looking forward to watch. TVC, another side in the NBL with an unbeaten record, with a recent form 5-0. They've played a lot of top sides, and for me, I feel they're one of the best shooting sides in the league, with a lot of talent at their disposal. And then, in terms of the other box scores of rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, they're up there with the best teams. The likes of Hakeem Sia definitely really helps them with their 39.7 rebounds a game and 3 blocks per game, which is enough to be joint 5th and 4th respectively. I'm a bit surprised seeing lower in the assists rating, mainly because they've got really good playmakers in the form of Lewis Champion, Blaine Freckleton, Seth Hawley, Taylor Johnson, the list goes on. And steals, well, they're 5th with 8.3 steals per game. Last but not least, Hemel Storm, who faced Cheshire Phoenix this weekend. They've got a 3-2 record. The last game they lost to Essex Rebels, which I thought was the game of the weekend. A very exciting game. The Rebels side that turned up were hot shooting on the floor. Even Price ran to 26 points in the first half, and it was a really exciting game. If you want to watch that back, I'll put the link to that stream in the video description. They also lost out to TVC Cavaliers early on the season with a 10-point loss, but big margin wins have really helped them with a 30-point win versus Worthing and a 30-plus point win at Oakland. It's definitely shown that they're offensively a top side. I really enjoy watching Hemel Storm. I think they're a very good defensive side. At the moment, they're first in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage. I'm not too surprised. You've got the likes of Greg Polin shooting very efficiently, but then you also got the likes of Mike Williams and Jack Burnell, who you do not want to be left leaving them open around the perimeter. And the likes of Bodie and the rest of the crew are shooting quite well this season as we stand. So let's quickly recap the ties that have taken place so far, and also the fixtures for the 4 NBL clubs coming soon. So on January 22nd, BBL and Sheffield Sharks lost in a 6-point game versus Plymouth Raiders. Bristol Flyers were unfortunate of a 1-point loss to last year's winners, Newcastle Eagles, in the 74-73 first round game. Tonight, if you're watching this video as it drops, so Storches host TVC Cavaliers at 6 PM. That game will be live streamed on BBL Player. I'll put a link to how you can watch that game in the video description. On Sunday, the 7th February, we've got 2 games running simultaneously. We've got Cheshire Phoenix hosting Hemel Storm. Again, that'll be on BBL Player. The link for that will be in the description. We've also got the all NBL tie 5th game, which we're previewing for you today. As Derby Trailblazers host Team Solent Kestrels. As mentioned earlier, that game will be live on YouTube, free to air. Again, the link will be in the description. We've also got 2 other ties involving BBL clubs coming soon. 10th February, Worcester Wolves host Manchester Giants. On the 11th, probably the tie of the round, London Lions vs Leicester Riders. But if we were to look at the brackets, we know, but the winner of that potentially tie around London vs Leicester will host last year's winners Newcastle. And if Hemel were to get past Cheshire, they'll have a home tie with Glasgow, who went through because Reading withdrew from the competition. Then the other side of the draw, we also know the winner of Worcester vs Manchester, well, home tie versus Plymouth. And probably the bracket with the most NBL interest, the winners of Surrey and TVC Cavaliers will host the winners of Derby and Solent's tie. So now, getting back to that important tie that we're previewing today, let's have a look at those key players that could be really important to Solent tie. For me, when you're trying to decipher the main guys for these 2 teams, I think it really highlights the depth and quality of both teams. So some of the key players to watch out for, you've got number 6, Blake Bowman, number 8, Oliver Stanley, and number 11, Jacob Conway. Jacob Conway is really impressed this year. He's sort of been one of the point leaders for the team. He's having a great season, Mr. Conway, with a nice 46.4 field goal percentage. But he can also shoot from range, and you definitely don't want to foul him with that almost 100% free throw shooting of 90. Defensively, it's definitely a main contributor on steals, and also a playmaker in his team with that average of 3 assists a night. And then number 8, Oliver Stanley, quite hard to ignore from a stats perspective, walking double-double with 12.5 points, 11.9 rebounds. It's definitely someone who's going to be tough for Kestrels to guard in the paint. Also on the defense end, he's going to be there trying to stop those Kestrels shooters getting easy baskets at the rim with this almost 2 blocks per game average. And I think if you look at the squad in depth, you definitely see, but it's a team that they all like to facilitate for each other, with a lot of guys sitting around the high 1.9s to 3 assists per game. And then let's talk about Blake Bowman, the Kansas City men's basketball committed guy after the States next year. We wish him all the best, and he's definitely going to be flying the flag for us out there. This season he's joined a lot more minutes, a lot more responsibility, and an increased role on the team. In NBL action, he's currently averaging 14.3 points, 4.9 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.1 steal, and 0.4 blocks. And he's shooting a nice 60.3 field goal percentage, 30 from 3, and an average 66.7 in terms of maybe his peers in the league. As with any video we do, we always have that disclaimer, but you've got to take the stats with a pinch of salt. You know, if you're looking at a player's average, you have to then look at the teams he's playing at, the minutes he's having, etc., etc., etc. But when I was looking at Blake Bowman's stats, something really stood out for me when I was comparing his average from the last 2 NBL D1 games compared to his average from the first 5 NBL D1 games. The first thing that stood out for me was the 3-point shooting, and the massive jump from 14 3-point percentage to 38 3-point percentage. Again, I'm comparing an average of a 5 to a 2, so obviously it'd be fair if we were looking at a 5, because it might not be as reliable as looking at just 2 top games he's had recently, but in doing so, he's shooting at an average of 38 3-point percentage per game over those 2 games compared to the 14. But the really telling stat is that in those 2 games, he shot 5 of 13 3-point made in total from those 2 games versus 1 from a 7 3-point made. So you'd already see that from 2 games, he shoot more than he did in 5 games. So with this in mind, I spoke to Blake and sort of tried to get a bit more from him. The run up to this big game, I was really keen to speak to Blake Bowman following observations I had from the box score, the stats, his form, and other things that I sort of felt like from watching his games, but his role has slightly changed and he was enjoying a much better form in these last 2 games than maybe his first 5. So with that in mind, I spoke to Blake and asked him, in his opinion, his perspective, what he felt were the catalysts for that change in form, or that the type of shots he's taken, or the amount of shots. There has been that change if you're looking from a stats perspective. And Blake came up with a really great answer, really great insight to maybe the conversations he's having inside the club. So Blake said for him and Coach Matt Shaw had lots of conversation on his role in the team and what sort of shots he wants him to be taking. He found like the conversations they had really enabled him to play his game and gave him nothing but confidence. It's real positive for him. Now looking at the rest of the squad, you can see on the screen there we've got the stats for the whole squad, credit basketball England's database. To find out, look at the single game stats and the team stats. A lot of really good data that you can get from that resource. And as I mentioned, it seems unfair sort of talk about 1 or 2 key players when this is a very talented squad which also got a former NBL MVP, Malcolm Smith, who's still making a great impact with a really nice 40.3 field goal percentage. Other guys like Josh Demi's a really good shooter, as you can see from stats there. Charlie Brown, one of the league's go-to assist guys with a 7 assists per game average. Also got great guys on the bench like Waddle Liberia, Ashley Udo, Luke Patak, and also then you've got the BBL experience of Rema Lascelles, who's had to play limited games so far, but has really influenced the rebound and assisting when he has, with an average of 4 rebounds, 6 assists of his 2 games, in which he averaged 15.9 minutes. Now let's look at their opposition's key players. And again, a bit like with Derby, it's hard to pick out 3. They've got a very talented and deep squad. So let's start with number 21, Travis Charles. He's averaging 19.8 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 0.2 steals, and 0.3 blocks. Shooting a nice 63.8 field goal percentage and 94.4 free throw percentage. Yet to take a 3-point shot in the NBL this season. I think it really shows how he and the team rates his mid-range game. Also this season saw Solent acquire Orland Jackman, who comes with a lot of BBL international experience, so a really great head to have in that Solent camp, and he's fitting in really well with a lovely average of 16.7 points, 7.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1 steal, and a 0.3 blocks. As with most Solent players, shooting around that 50 field goal percentage with a 56.5 and a 38.1 from 3, and is a cool cat from free throw line with 81.5. Now, you guys probably saying, Chris, why you put number 7 and another 5 by Ian Smith? Well, just an interesting little fact there. If you're wondering why Ian Smith's wearing number 5 one game and number 0 in the second, it depends which jersey Solent are playing in. Last year's NBL MVP is averaging close to a triple-double with 13.8 points, 6.7 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.7 steals, and 0.2 blocks. And as you see, shooting 46 of all shots, 32.1 from range, and 82.4 from the free throw line. So this season I've been tasked voluntarily wise to sort of be doing the NBL team of the week, and it's got me looking more at the efficiency, the plus and minus, and other facts. And for me, I think when we're talking about plus minuses, it was no surprise for me to see that Elliot Dadds leads all Solent Kestrels players with an average of 30.5 plus in the plus minus per game. But if you look at his average, maybe it's not the one that stands out the most, with a 7.3 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.3 steals, 0.2 blocks. But Elliot's contributions goes more than just a common box score, if that's taking the charge defensively with hustling, steals, being a very loyal servant to the franchise, and often known as Mr. Southampton from his time from all the way through the pathway at Solent. For those who don't know, plus minus just essentially means weighs that player's input on the court versus off court, how well their team did with that player on the court compared to how well the team did without that player. I've also added per minute because a lot of Kestrels guys don't average the same minutes as key players on other teams. And I see the average leaderboard per game's close, the per minute's even closer. So obviously there's some deviation in terms of the minutes each player enjoys. Again, I've added leaderboards. Obviously, I feel the leaders of both respective teams will be key, but I also think the bench will be key, and this is why I think the bench will be key. Solent on average 8 more points per day from bench versus Derby Trailblazers, with 30.3 points per game versus Derby's 22.3 points per game. So the key battles, I feel whoever Solent get to guard Blake Bowman, I think that's a really interesting battle. I'd see him either put in Andre Arisol or Elliot Dadds on, but equally they get someone like Brendan Okoronko to defend him. It'd be interesting to see who they pick. I'm also looking to see how Malcolm Smith gets on against Travis Charles and or Orland Jackman. That's a really good matchup. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like the video. Again, if you're new to the channel and haven't already done so, please subscribe, and that way you'll know when the next video drops. In the comments as well, I'd really love to hear what you guys think. You've heard what I've had to say. Now let's hear what you think about this tie. I'd love to hear who you think is going to be the MVP, who you think is going to win. Maybe some of the key players you're expecting to do well this weekend. Also, you can find me on Upstreamedia's channel on Facebook and YouTube. There I host a live NBL preview show each week. This week I've got Leopard Riders Jonas Dietrich and B8 London Lions Flint Bournemouth Raffay. They'll both be on to preview their respective games and also the rest of the games involving NBL D1 sides. We'll also discuss and react to the game that will probably come on before us. That would be the Surrey Scorchers and Thames Valley Cavaliers in the BBL Trophy first round game. We'll react to score, discuss some of our takes on that game. I think Jonas has trained before, so he probably won't have watched the game, but Flynn might have had, and we'll discuss that. Obviously, get involved, and we'll love to read out your comments as we do the show live. Head to the link description for anything I've mentioned in today's video. Again, thank you for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Take care, goodbye.